Hello and welcome everyone back to another episode of Energy Unleashed. My name is Suzanne Worthley, here with my co-host Kim Hess,
Hello, everybody.
who is freezing up at the cabin. Look
I
at
know it
you.
was like 28 degrees, and I'm sitting in our screen porch with the plastic already on the screens. But
Seriously, 28 degrees up there?
it frosted yesterday and today. So, yeah, the stars were insane, though. That
Right?
clear sky is why it's frosting, of course. But I stood under the Milky Way last night. And you feel like you can touch it. It's just
Yeah.
so gorgeous. So,
Most
yeah.
listeners already know that Kim and I are not only friends, but cabin neighbors as well. And I just came home from the cabin
Mhm.
and gonna turn around and go back up real soon for some more writing. But it is so magical up there in this time of year because, like you said, the stars are
Mm.
so incredibly crisp and beautiful, and you can just see differently. I don't know, it's just amazing to me. It's
It is.
gorgeous.
And the swans were in front of the cabin, feeding and everything for probably an hour this morning, just hanging out.
Nice.
It was just a really nice calm lake, and it was a gorgeous morning. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All righty, I'm having some funny things on my screen here. Normally when we do Energy Unleashed podcasts, we bring forward oftentimes my client sessions where we kind of unleash them and talk further. But Kim and I were chatting about what we wanted to do this week. And I think what we're going to actually just kind of hash out or unleash is just the bullshit that's going on right now in the world. And not only am I hearing it from clients, but family and friends and peers like yourself, and my own body and mind and brain has just been on overdrive. And I think this is something that is important for us to bring forward so that other people don't think that they're crazy. As always, take what resonates from either of us, drop what doesn't. We're not here to change you or make you believe anything, but this is not easy energy right now. October, in my opinion, as a worker for all these years, is always difficult. And that's for a couple of reasons, in my, again, opinion, is because we have a really strong, powerful Lion's Gate on 8/8. It's a portal that is wicked strong, that sets up the energy for the last part of the year, right? And so anybody that is doing any dumping, any, getting rid of crap, that's what portals do, right? They help us move forward, but they also kind of stir the pot. Then we move right into an eclipse season, which is wicked strong. We had a huge moon season and then, or a month, and then we have October is tough because, and I'm going to say it, it's Halloween. The veils are thin. We have a lot of odd energy. We have a lot of probably under the radar rituals going on that don't behoove this collective field at all. So when you put all that crap together, it feels like a whirlwind. And I think this is what I'm finding a lot of people are feeling. They're either feeling completely stuck, absolutely don't know what the heck is going on, or completely out of control. There's really not even a middle ground. Does that
It's
resonate?
yeah, it's both from family and friends. I'm finding there's because not only the energy affects us, but then you've got all the outside sources of crazy stuff going on in, you know, I mean, look at I don't know how far we go into that, but just financial is tough
Yeah,
right now. Israel's tough right now. Like all of the different things are bringing in a lot of fear, which is also affecting, I think, our collective in a way that it's hard to. It takes a lot of work to keep discerning that and
right.
making sure that it's not mine or
And I think our job is to bring forward maybe some tips or some tactics that we do or my clients have done that are helpful for anyone that is struggling with this stuff. Because first and foremost, it's not going to go away. I mean, our programming that is happening on this planet through this ascension process is not going to dial down. It's only going to dial up. Now, that isn't to put fear into anybody. That's to put your big girl or big boy pants on and let's play the game a little bit. This is really the time to sit back and think, okay, I'm going to look at this with way bigger eyeballs, and I'm going to actually step back and look at it in an observer mode and start to see the actual programming for what it is, which is fear propaganda, right? And I mean, when we are spewing out fear 24/7, that doesn't negate the fact that there may be some horrible, awful things happening in our world. So don't misunderstand that we understand, yes, there's some horrible, awful things happening, and we do need to find some compassion in our humanness for that. But we also don't need to 150% go into the fear and spiral down in our own essence, in our own life, in our own matrix, because that isn't helping anybody. It's not helping us, and it's not helping, like you said, the collective. So this is really a tough balance at this time of the year.
You know, with the energy that's changing too, one of the things that I've found, or it's been out there in different sites, is the light energy, the light frequency, and that energy is getting stronger, right?
Yes.
Affects us as well. But when that's happening, then the negative agenda kind of ramps up the fear-based stuff. So when you said it's not going to change, it's not, because they're fighting for us to be held back and to be in that fear state. So that light piece of it is, I think for me, I keep focusing on in prayer and in the work for myself, is the light energy, and
Yes.
acknowledging and being aware of the dark, but, trying to be part of bringing the light to, this world as part of the ascension process, I guess.
And if I can unleash that a little bit in terms of the word dark, because dark energy can be dark energy that's good and dark energy that is not good. So this is another whole area that I encourage and invite people to kind of look into a little bit more, in that Mother God energy, Mother Earth energy is dark. It is the womb. It is the birthing energy. It is very, very dark. It doesn't mean it's evil dark. It means that it's love dark. And this is a frequency that freaks people out a little bit, because we're so trained, we're so ingrained with that process of, oh, dark is bad, dark is evil, that's bad stuff, those are the demons. All of that is really a knee-jerk reaction when we start to feel dark energy. So one of the skill sets that somebody maybe wants to consider spending more quiet time with is, how do I discern good dark and bad dark? Those are silly words, but we don't have much more for vocabulary other than good and bad, in terms of what's good, what is good dark, and what is bad dark. And it always comes down to a fear factor love quotient that resonates through your system. And this is, again, why it's critical for us to know our own individualized frequency and be able to be comfortable with, oh, this is Suzanne at a frequency of balance and harmony. So now this bad dark feels like, or this good dark feels like, and these are things that our barometer inside of us can know intuitively if we would just learn to trust it.
Right. Right. Agreed. Fully agree. I know it's hard to know the words are really tough around this, because you're right. There is the good dark, and there's the you have to have the yin and the yang, and the black and white, and the opposites. So is it more of like negative energy, or is it?
I think when we're talking about the so-called bad, and again, these are silly words, good and bad, but the bad dark energy has, to me, a lot of manipulation feel to it. Way back when I started this work, I would know when I was getting hijacked in my room, because I think I've said this maybe on another podcast or maybe an Instagram. The old, I think it was Sesame Street when my kids were young, that had the two little men that sat up in the kind of like the opera seats, and they go, rah, 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 and they were in these little tuxedos. They were puppets.
Oh, the Muppets. It's the Muppet.
Yeah. They were two little Muppet men. And oftentimes, whenever I would be doing something really critical and really big out there, I felt this invasion in my room, with almost like a seating up higher in my room, with entities going, rah, 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 and it made me giggle, because it made me think of the silly Muppet guys. So it never really scared me, but that was my higher self indicator that someone was observing from a higher standpoint that wasn't good. Someone was kind of infiltrating my room and observing and trying to interfere with their rah, rah, rah. And that's kind of how I feel negative agenda. It feels like rah, rah. It feels like interference. It feels metallic sometimes. It feels like AI sometimes. It feels manipulative or snake-like sometimes. Not that snakes are bad. It feels like a lot of different energy. And I think it is critical for each individual human to make friends with, what does that feel like, and how does that come through for me? What is my indicator? What is my red flag?
Mhm.
So those are my red flags. And I'm sure we do them all individually, however we bring it through our personal matrix. But those are my indicators, that rant feeling, or that manipulation, or that swirly ick. There's just that feeling of foreboding is another one. There's a feeling of helplessness or hopelessness. These are all indicators to me that that so-called dark energy is not the good dark energy, it's the bad. And
Right.
the good dark energy feels very nurturing. It feels very enveloped. It feels very much like a mother would put her blanket around you and keep you warm, or her wings around you if she was an angel, in terms of embracing. And so they definitely come through very differently for me. But again, I practice that a lot.
Right. Right. I think for me, I definitely feel like Mother Earth energy, but it doesn't, it's so funny because I just never feel like it's a dark, and because I don't see things like you
Yeah.
do. So it
Yeah.
never feels, I see color, but not dark colors. And I don't feel like that, like you said, just that icky weirdness. Like
Yeah.
it's just warm and good, and I feel connected,
So again, feel centers are critical, right? I mean, that's it. I was
My
talking,
gut tells me a
I was
lot.
talking with somebody yesterday about the void and hitting the 0 point. And some people have done that and lots haven't. And for me, the 0 point, when you get to that absolute 0 point of God source energy, which is the I am and the nothing all at the same time, it is the absolute balance. For me, the 0 point is completely black. I mean, it is blacker than black, and yet it feels completely loving. It is 100% nothingness of infinite ongoing black, and it feels awesome. And so if anyone's ever had the chance to get to the 0 point and has experienced it that way, that's a good thing to lock into your psyche, to go, oh yeah, this is that mother energy that feels really awesome too. It's that 0 point. Not that mother is 0 point. 0 point would be mother and father at 0. But it's just a good indicator for the body to have a cellular memory that dark can feel embracing and wonderful.
Well,
So
how is it? So I know with your vibe tribe, you've brought
mhm.
up that the goddess energy or the female energy is ramping up. Like, what is that like for most people as we're starting to feel that kind of energy that we haven't had a lot of experience with?
I think it's not just the goddess. I think it's the god and goddess. I think the whole realm of 4D is ramping up because we have had so much trouble in the 4D realm. The 4D realm is our astral plane where everything can be, including all the programming and the garbage and all the wonder and all the everything, right? It's the everything. So it can be very difficult to navigate. 4D also, by the way, is guardianed and helped by the God worlds. And the God worlds have been kind of taken out of our holographic structure. We study that stuff in Vibe Tribe a lot. And I encourage anybody that's listening, if you want to be involved in Vibe Tribe, go visit my sworthley.com and get on board. It's a monthly membership where I do my best every month to teach really outside the realm of the material you already get for the price. So you get kind of 2-for-1s on the webcast, but it is the infrastructure of the hologram itself that's coming back in different dimensional fields. And that 4D dimensional field has been very wobbly, let's just use that word, and very kind of unpredictable. And I believe that's because there's a part of the so-called structure that was taken out when the god goddesses disappeared, and it turned into God and religion and the guy on the cloud. And we learned that there was only one God, and this is him, and then he has a son, and blah, blah, blah. When that dogma came in, we lost the balance of God worlds, which is a small g, in terms of male and female. Like we have Zeus and Hera, right? I mean, we have the balance. And what happened was, not only did that world get kind of exploded out of that infrastructure or hologram, it just got more even taken away, that the male gods got to hang around a little bit, but God forbid, no pun there, we took out the female goddesses, right? So
Yeah.
there are a lot of people that have studied the female goddesses. We've got like Isis, so we've got, Kali is incredible, Kuan Yin, all of these female goddess energies that have been around for a long time. But what is happening is we're putting them back together with their counterparts, so that the dualistic nature of male, female, yin, yang, black, white, dark, male, female, all is coming back together again in that hologram, in that infrastructure. So it's all of those energies are being more accessible right now. And I'm finding them coming into my healing sessions more and more with clients. I had Kuan Yin come in, and I don't do work with Kuan Yin. typically. And she came in wicked strong the other day. And then I had Kali come in wicked strong. And I'm like, this is so cool, because they're coming through the veil fast and furious because they've been completely out of the picture. And now they're coming in not only to find their counterpart, meaning their male counterpart, but to help the infrastructure period and stabilize 4D.
Okay. Okay. Which also impacts us in ways that we might not understand if we're not working in that, you know, realm or.
Yeah, and it might behoove us to look into it. Like, what does a Kali do? Kali's kick ass. I mean, she's the one that will just, go for it. And she comes across very, ferocious and fierce, and yet she's very loving. And Kuan Yin is very loving, but she's also ferocious and fierce. They do some really, really, really great, I think, descriptions in Lena Fairchild's decks. I think she's got fabulous card decks, oracle decks of Kali, sacred, rebel. She's got Kuan Yin. She's got many, many goddess decks that really do justice to those energies. And so if anyone is really wanting to look into that stuff more, I encourage studying for sure.
Yeah, no, those are really, really amazing decks.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And the artwork, oh my goodness, right? I mean, so cool. So cool.
Yeah.
But back to, this unstableness, I think it's political. This is going to be crammed down our throat because we're coming into a political year. Many, many people out there are saying that there won't even be an election, which I think is fascinating to even ponder. A lot of people are thinking that will be completely hijacked. And I think that would actually be amazing to be in a world where something that gigantic changes. I don't know if that's good or bad. I'm not sure. I don't even have an opinion. I just am in amazement of the concept, but that could or couldn't happen. What I wanted to bring forward for this really hard time is we've got politics, we've got medicine, we've got the threat of, the next round of pandemic, we've got everything under the sun, we've got the unearthing of, oh, by the way, I finally watched Sound of Freedom, for human trafficking, etc. And I encourage people to maybe take a peek at it. For me, it wasn't as I was nervous to watch it, and it was a little too fictional for me, even though it's not a fictional story. But I think it could have been even stronger because I think people need to wake up. Yeah. So trafficking, we've got we've got the unearthing of the actual Earth itself. We've got climate changes that are happening really fast and furious in the next couple of years. We also keep having this looming thing over our heads if you're in this world. Oh my God, the grand event is coming. The great event is coming. The huge solar flash is coming. We're all going to get so. That has been on the docket for 5-6 years now. And so I just put all of those heightened, oh my God, things on a back burner.
Yeah.
I just do.
Yeah. I haven't even really heard that one lately. The solar, I must not be listening to the same stuff you are, but I just
it's still out there. And and then we've got all of the dark agenda, and we've got the whole white versus dark hats, blah blah. My point is this: it's not going to go away, right? I think that people get to choose how to navigate this stuff, because that's the only thing we have is our free will choice on how to navigate. Whether we choose to believe that it is true or not true is individually up to us. If, however, we completely close our eyes to this because we're fear-filled, if, however, we're the ones that don't want to deal with anything because it's too scary, then I really warn you, you're giving consent to everything. Yeah. Because if you're closing your eyes and you're not doing any studying or discerning or standing forward in what you choose to believe, you are consenting. That is the one thing I did through the entire Sound of Freedom movie. I just kept saying, I do not consent. This is not acceptable for the human race or the planet. So it is important for us to do due diligence in being a human on this planet, in my opinion, because we are created as the guardians of this planetary system called Earth. And we do not do a good job because we're so consumed with ourselves. We are part of this system of ascension. And so whether you want to get all scared about it or whether you want to flip it off and not care, whether you think it's all silly and stupid. Oh, the alien invasion, we forgot to throw that one in.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
Yeah. So, all of this stuff is going to be churning out one thing after another. But my point is please at least give your body the chance to navigate the information in a neutral zone so that you can hold a sense of responsibility to decide from a higher authentic place if I consent or not. I don't have to go down the rabbit hole and stay there, but I can certainly stay neutral and have a very visceral, palpable human reaction that says, hell no, I do not consent to that. Absolutely. Whether it's true or not, I still don't consent. That's where I'm at with most of it.
Yeah, no, it's a good place to be. And it is not easy always to stay neutral because the amount of, propaganda out there that is so fearful or fear-based. Plus, when you're sitting next to somebody at a restaurant and they're full of fear, you're like, ooh, you can feel it. It's just around us everywhere. So it takes a lot of work, to stay ahead of that or stay more, to stay in the neutral.
And I think the other really important thing to bring forward is, please, if you choose, which I really hope you do, respect where the other is at. Meaning, I don't get to bash somebody if their entire vision of this is all bullshit. It isn't real. This is silly. I want to stay in my 3D world. I really do believe that, there's rainbows and bunnies around every corner, or the savior program, so-and-so is going to come and save us, whether it's the dogmatic religion thing or the alien thing. These are all programs for us, especially the hero program. This is a program that we have gone in to our matrix, our individual and collective matrix for eons, saying something or somebody's going to save us. We are saving ourselves because we are co-creating every single solitary moment. Whether we're getting support from other benevolent beings or not is here nor there. Whether we're getting dogged or programmed or manipulated by dark agendas is neither here nor there. Each of our individual responsibilities comes from inside of us because we are the matrix. This is where people get confused. They don't understand that we are in consciousness. Consciousness isn't here. Consciousness is, and we are a part of that. And the matrix isn't here. We are the matrix individually. So my matrix is navigating differently than yours is.
Yep.
Right? I'm only responsible for my matrix. Now, does that mean there's grid patterns and lines of energy and things out there creating the hologram? Sure. But the reality matrix comes from your individualized point of view. And that's why it is self-responsibility, especially right now. When that self-responsibility is either attained or ignored, that then pours into the collective, which we're all in charge of. And no one seems to understand. I shouldn't say no one, but a lot of people don't seem to understand the responsibility of that.
Right. And the really good point that you made in there is that if your focus is about other people and their problems and you're going to fix them and you're going to save them and and you're not taking care of yourself, I'm just trying to associate that you're not going to solve their problems for them. They're their problems. They're for them to solve, but you can be that positive energy light that is maybe helps people navigate in a way that they start to focus on themselves versus others.
Or just even holding space for them if they're having trouble, right?
Exactly. Holding space is an amazing. I didn't know what that meant for so long. And we do this all the time for each other.
Why don't you explain that if someone didn't know what that meant?
So a good example is with, there's several of us that communicate a lot, but recently I reached out, I'm like, all right, I'm having just kind of a hard time keeping everything balanced in a good place and reaching out to find out how everybody else is doing. But what I found is that immediately everybody holds space for that individual, like meaning, you know what, we're out here for you. We're supportive of you. Don't feel fear. We're here for you, but you feel that energetically.
Yeah. It's a form of prayer.
Yeah, absolutely. A form of
Literally.
prayer.
It's a form of prayer with no conditions attached. It's a form of prayer where we're just actually holding the space to allow the unconditional energies to work in the way that it needs to for that person's highest and best. Yep. And it, in my opinion, is the best way to pray, because we don't get to pray for someone to do or not do something that is our personal ego attached. So I think holding space for this entire creational reality is something that is, it's a tough one, because if we hold space for this entire creational reality to play out as highest and best, that means that we are going to pull back on our egoic, I have to get everything done and fix everything. Okay. That's most people. We're trained that way. We're validated that way. But boy, when you wake up and you are starting to realize I wasn't in control of any of that anyway, right?
Yeah,
It's a
right.
really nice relief and it's really relaxing and it has a sense of peace and calm. Does that mean you're not going to get your ass kicked? No, because you're at that place a lot of times and you got your ass kicked the other day, and the ass kicking will come from another trigger that I still have inside of me, or I tripped up on the collective, or I'm going higher, so therefore I'm going deeper. I'm going higher in my frequency, so I'm going deeper in my releases, et cetera, et cetera. So we don't know how to hold space as a collective very well, in my opinion. We don't know how to just trust that this is all done. Even me, who knows in the grids that I've done huge amounts of ascension work, that it literally in another time space continuum is done.
Yeah.
We're just seeing it play out right now. But we can also get in a whole lot of mucky junk in the play out, right? So if we would just get to a space of faith, true faith, not dogmatic faith as the hero thing, true faith in that we've already done this, we can all just step back to that observer neutral and relax a little bit, that 0 point. But man, that is just, yeah.
It's a big one, because the whole idea that it's already done and we're just watching it play out, and that it's not real, but it is. I don't know. It's like such a really hard concept, to get your.
I was flipping through the TV last night and that Free Guy came on again, and it's a really good metaphor movie. It's Free Guy or Free Guy, right? And anyway, Ryan Reynolds is so dang cute to stare at for 2 hours anyway, but that whole concept of him being in the video game and being a non-player character and understanding that, wait, I have free will choice. It is such a great metaphor, because we are in a game. We are in, a lot of people will say simulation, holographic simulation, it's a game, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't feel like a game when people are dying. It doesn't feel like a game when people are threatening war and getting shot and having murders. It doesn't feel like a game at all. But the reality is if we can get to that neutral point and yet not get too programmed with the game concept. See, here's the other half of that. Gaming concepts are, I can, just shoot you because I'm going to click a button and you'll be fine. I mean, that's a mental screw thing anyway.
Created some really scary results.
Yeah, it has. No accountability, right?
Right. No conscience of, what that means to actually take a life.
Yeah. So we've got a lot of different factors going on in here when we start to think about this being a game, because it is, but it isn't at all. This is a really big responsibility of the God source to co-create something that was designed correctly from the beginning. Mm-hmm. I mean, from the beginning of our fractalization of Universe 12 was designed to do everything in a balanced way and return balanced. And we just let it just get, off kilter the entire time, and many of us are back on planet to put that structure back together so that it can do its job. This is the one thing I do have faith in, is that is a knowing inside of me. I've known that since I was a kid. So that infrastructure return, that holographic return, is what we're experiencing right now. And we have to blow crap up, and I mean that metaphorically and physically, in terms of blow it up, make it go away, discard it or disclose it or whatever. It has to blow before it can be rebuilt. And we're in that awareness and witnessing of a lot of the destruction of the blow up. And that can be.
It's that, 3D world right now it's really hard to detangle yourself from what that is, and to be in that neutral, and that's where you got to focus on it. It's not natural for us, because of our beliefs and how we were brought up or taught, is a lot of what keeps us from doing that, I guess.
It can cause a lot of guilt in our own conscience too, on how we feel about things. And so if you're starting to awaken and understand this is a game, and you're having a real pullback from things like, I am not going to suck into this potential war, then you have somebody over here bashing you because you have no conscience, that you have no compassion. How can you not care about the people that are dying? That isn't the case. Of course we care about people dying. Mm-hmm. Of course we care about the horrendous treatment of humans, animals, plants, and planet. But that's not the same thing as sucking into the fear and co-creating it. These are two different things. And this is the hardest challenge right now for people that are in two different camps of awakening, is that, in fact, I just had this happen to me last night. Well, don't you care about that? And it's like, it's not that I don't care. I'm not going to give it my primary thought frequency because I refuse to consent to that. In consenting to that, I'm co-creating even more of it through a fear base, which is fantastically fast in the way that it moves, right? Fear moves fast, fast, fast. And so what one wants to do is be aware, be diligent, do your due diligence, right? Do your discovery, but make it personal, and then decide what you're going to do with that on a personal level. And please don't let somebody else's bashing of your belief system affect the way that you choose to live.
Right.
And vice versa, right?
Yeah, this conversation can keep going in so many different directions. It's like,
it's hard.
And it's hard. It's really, yeah, it takes a lot of work, and but it's so worth it. And I think we're all making a difference, in our personal work. We're making a difference in what we're co-creating.
And one of the things why we talk about our cabin a lot is that is a respite for both Kim and I. And this is a place where I find that I'm not turning off the world because I'm very well aware, but I do make a conscious effort to get my butt up there and put myself into the nature of this beautiful, amazing, serene, peaceful, balanced, harmonious planet, and hold that space as much while we know horrific things are happening in Israel, Palestine, Iran, Iraq, etc. It's the balance. And so do I diss this and not think about it? No. Do I hold space for it? Yes. Do I do more work here? Absolutely. And we put this into the patterns, that this is the normal. This is what I want. This is what I'm creating, so that the actual, if you think of the scales are doing this. We're raising the vibration by being in this space, in this place, and doing the work and being grateful. So please understand that these personal ways of disconnecting aren't dissing.
No,
it's just not giving consent. And when one goes away, I'm having quiet time, that isn't just because they're out there just woo-wooing, meditating to, no end. This is work. And this is what we are designed to do. And I think each of us, the more that we get into our spiritual work, finds what puzzle piece we have and how that we can put it into the bigger puzzle, because we all do it different.
Yeah, we absolutely do. I like today just stood there and watched the swans for a while, and
right.
Like, life is so simple when you look at it, like or it's just so peaceful. That feeling of peace. The lake was calm, the swans were beautiful, the sky is blue, and it's just that centering,
Yes.
balanced place.
And it's owning the fact that you have every right to not only experience that, but you more so have a right to co-create that. This is the important piece of it, is that, yes, we're fully aware that there is dark and evil and awful and horrible, but I also have the right to experience, much less even co-create, more of peace and harmony and joy and wonder. So this is the way that we live in a dualistic world. Our dualism has been imbalanced for eons because it has been fear-based. So our job right now is to hold, if not heighten, the love-based frequency and keep bringing it forward, and being aware of, I don't consent,
Oh,
I don't consent is so strong. Isn't it so crazy how much you can just literally look at things lightly and just, I don't consent. That is not acceptable,
Yeah. And it helps you move forward with that. And, I think where people kind of get caught up, it's like, when is this going to happen to me? What if it happens to me, with like, are people setting themselves up in our neighborhood to be terrorists? Like, when you start to go down that path, it's like, oh my God, you wouldn't leave your house. You won't, give yourself you still need to live your life in a way that, without that fear. And that's really, that's where I see other people around me, really starting to get into that, or really going into that fear and protective place that is not very healthy.
No, it's not. And it happened 3 years ago. We all know it happened March 3 years ago. when we were contained and controlled and separated and absolutely. And then your brain starts to think, I can't even stand by you because I might die. I mean, this just it got so mindfucky that we didn't know what to do about anything. And it was a grand experiment on how much we can control the human mind in fear. And I think we failed miserably. We failed miserably because we all fell for it. Now, does that mean that we didn't need to be diligent and aware? That's not what I'm saying. That isn't what I'm saying at all. I'm saying the fear behind it is what is killing it. And so be diligent. Yeah, wash your hands. Be aware. Clean your cart if you're at the grocery store anyway, for God's sakes.
Right.
So these are all things that we can be really torqued within our brain if we're not careful. And there is so much in my client work, so much PTSD from the pandemic. I can't even tell you that people are still having a difficulty in how they reapproach things, period. And this is why the dark agenda is coming in right at the time when people are starting to get balanced. It'll kick it up again, because that's what they do. Yeah. So do your own homework and get rid of any fear that you can inside of your body. And so these are the things I want to leave it with: is do your own homework. Mm-hmm. Find your own bubble, get your own boundaries so that and you're able to discern. If I'm able to discern, that's outside of me, that isn't mine, that isn't my fear, this is fear, I walked into fear, this triggered my fear, on and on it goes. So, that empathing thing that we write about in Confident Empath is really, really critical to be able to know that I'm in charge of that boundary. That will never change, no matter what is happening, because my matrix and my boundary is right here in my auric field. Number one thing to do. Number two thing to do with that field is to keep it grounded into the earth energy, because again, this is the mother energy of feeling safe. And so safe, enough, and worth are the things that I always propose to work on constantly. And get outside and work with the nature. And it doesn't matter what season it is or where you are on the planet. We can always work with the natural elements that then connect us again to that 2D realm, which is critical for the planet as well. So these are the things. And then I think it's healthy to jump into a rabbit hole, but not stay down it. I think it's healthy, at least for me, to go navigate the rabbit hole and look in every crack and corner, but then shine a flashlight on it and start to go, And then be very, very, very clear on, if you're watching podcasts like ours, I say it all the time and I'll say it again: take what resonates, toss the rest. Because if I'm on here telling you this is exactly what's going to happen, red flag, because we don't know what's going to happen even in 5 minutes from now, because we haven't created it yet. So we're living in simultaneous timelines right now. Past is becoming future. It's really real. That's a whole nother conversation we can have on timelines. And we're doing all this navigating at one time. So there's not going to be an end to this. So just be aware of being present, and then decide with your free will, what is the best for my highest good. Right?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. 100%. Yeah.
And that being said, I would be aware the, eclipses will always kick our butt, and be aware around Halloween. That isn't to freak anybody out, but, a lot of dark agenda stuff goes on behind the scenes that will alter the veil, and the veil is already open, very open, and now it's even more open because of that ritualistic time of year. So maybe possibly do your own ritual in a positive way. Again, yin for that yang, bump it up when it goes down, bump it down when it goes up, whatever, so that we're finding this balance within our own lives and then putting it into the collective. So I think I'm going to actually be at the cabin on Halloween and doing some positive rituals at my fireside, because I think that that's important for the veil. So
yeah, no, I think it's awesome. It's great advice, because I don't, you have to keep faith and hope and believe that, like you said, to co-create what we want it to be, you still need to trust and have faith. And that's what's going to be. So,
but not in the savior program, because you are the savior.
No.
Right?
No. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Anything else?
No, this is really good. I think that I'm sure we'll be talking more and more about some of these things, because it can go into so many different directions.
Yeah, and please comment below, if you really do want more on the timeline stuff or the agenda stuff or whatever. We're more than willing to, give what it is that is requested as best as we can. And again, take what resonates. Okay. So hit like, hit subscribe, hit share, hit anything you want. That's good. And until next time. Cosmic hugs.
Bye.